Good afternoon, this is Kuro. Finally have a tier 10 game in my Kagero. I've been hunting around trying to find CVs in the matchmaking after the hot fix. Just simply has not been happening. So, finally got one. It's a double CV match. Gonna pause that because I think I jump into battle early. Going over the matchmaking, we've got a hack, we've got a Saipan. So, heavy CV threat. Um, Looking at the radar threat, I have a Kronstadt that's part of an ADOP division, and have a Cleveland, and the DD threat's got a Haragumo that's part of the ADOP division, and a Kagero. And that pretty much rounds out the usual suspects for threats to me. So, if you look, I'm playing man mode. I wanted to give you guys an example of the worst of the worst. I am running torpedo reload. I am bottom tier in a double CV match against also a tier 10 CV. And honestly, the CV is not really an issue for me until the very end of the match, and that is mostly due to my positioning. So right off the bat, I'm kind of looking around, and I'm a little sketchy going to decap. Um, Usually decap consists of trying to hug behind an island, and I mean anytime you've got CVs, a DD can't hug an island like that. So we're gonna have to improvise. If we go to have some, long, protracted cap contest, all that's going to end with is me getting farmed by the CV and likely being killed. Um, so I'm basically coming up here. I'm looking to see what's going on with um, with the enemy CVs. I see both sets of planes. So this is the hack. This is the Saipan, and I'm just tracking these guys. This hack, he spawned over here. He's already hauling balls over to ACAP, and that's telling me that, this might open up where he's going to focus over here with this planes, both him and the Saipan. And if that happens, that's going to make, obviously, things easier on me. So, I'm just watching things on the minimap unfold, and my CV spots the Haragumo. I go on ahead, I call target on him. He's a major threat to me if he catches me in a gunfight because I don't have smoke. So I want to play, pretty cautious about him. Now, one thing to note, um, for a just simplicity's sake, Kagero does not have any long-range AA. You will be plane spotted by the CV long before your AA even begins to kick in. Don't even bother with toggling it off. Just keep that shit on, and it's one less button that you need to click while shit's going sideways. Now, I'm stepping into the cap. Haragumo's gonna know I'm here. He's playing the island hugging game. I am not. So instead, I'm just gonna do a drive-by. This is straight out of Compton, yo. Just gonna fly right through here. I do have a Zao sitting under 10 kilometers off me. They've got a hipper. There's a lot of things that can punish me here, so I'm gonna play safe. A little safe. My kind of safe. So, I see that, where's my cursor? I see him shooting back in here. So I went on ahead. He's a big enough threat. We've got him pinned down. I pushed up here to get like a ridiculous torp angle on him. He gets spotted briefly coming out of the smoke. I think that was to try to dodge my torps that pushed him out. And I'm going to take a shot at him. And I know that the Zao is going to be looking at me. You see me look back at the Zao and changing my speed. Gunboating Japanese DD style. That's a fucking Zao that I just juked right out of their britches. You know, learn how to use the strengths that the Japanese DDs have. Their acceleration. You saw that I waited till I was on speed boost for that kind of move. And, you know, slapped that Haragumo with a quick, you know, 2800 salvo. And the reason why I'm shooting, I want to make sure that guy's engine's broke. I want to make sure that his rudder's broke. I want to break as much shit as possible because I've got torps coming into that smoke. I want him, you know, at his absolute most vulnerable because I do not want that guy to live. Haragumo's down. I'm going to come back and take the cap. Now, what I'm also looking at on the minimap right now, I'm telling my team, provide AA support because I am expecting, you know, a rocket plane to come back here to try to harass me because I just killed one of their DDs and I was spotted out here. But if you look, I'm headed back into decap. I've got a Cleveland here, a Montana, a St. Louis, and a Tago. And if you look, their AA, you know, my concealment is 5.4. You start to look at how I kind of nestle myself in between all of that AA. Anytime that CV goes to attack me, either which way he goes, he's getting hammered by AA. And that's the kind of positioning that you want to look at. Use your concealment circle to let you know, hey, am I playing safe or not? And if you're not, then you need to start thinking about, you know, how you're handling that situation. Now I'm pushing up here. The enemy is basically giving us decap, having lost their DD. I just went on ahead and I was just going to start shooting that hipper just because I've got a safe island right here to hug behind. You know, with torpedo reload, try to use islands to make your guns work. This Montana, he's looking. I see the strike coming in, so I know he's going to be turning this way, so I know I'm going to get a chance to drop this. If that CV wasn't there, I'd be too late for this drop. There's the turn. Hack's losing his planes. I'm scooching back up to basically maximize the room that I have here, and I'm just counting down. I don't want to shoot. I don't want to spook this guy. I'm just waiting. This is something that's powerful because your CV, if he gets floods, your torps, you know, can cause that unrepairable flood. You know, he's starting to turn out, and I mean, I was sending my torps right the hell away. And I think that he's going to turn completely out, so I just start using my guns. And I duck a little too far into the island right here. I lose sight of him. I didn't actually want to lose vision on him. He took the time to shoot, and unfortunately we don't have anything spotting him. I'm popping speed boost to get back out there because I want to find that guy. He's got a fire on him. And gonna get a nice little boop in the butt. Knocked out his rudder, got a flooding. And all the steam tells me that the flood's stuck. He shot at me, I'm just gonna duck behind the island. And at this point, you know, my work here is done. Which, by the way, they reworked this model. The fucking camo is amazing. So, you know, take a gander at my beauty. this is a good job with wargaming. This is a ship that's been in the game a very long time, and they reworked it, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So if you get a chance, take a look at the ship. They put a lot of effort into it. Now getting back to the gameplay, I don't like what my team's doing, um, and this is going to cost us the game. They're basically doing the infamous, hey, let's go mid. We've got 2 caps to their 1. Why in the flying hell do we need to push out into the middle of, a crossfire? This Yamato's got shots. This Kronstadt's going to have shots. This Bismarck's coming around the island. Why in the bloody hell do you guys need to expose your ships to fire like that? Why not circle back around, drive this Zhao out, and just pinch this out, and then we have owned this entire area of the map, and then we can just roll in the safe way into B cap, and voila, we flip the map on them. We'll have 3 caps to their none, and let that be that. You take a look at now, everybody's healthy. Yeah, it ain't gonna stay that way. Again, letting my team know I need AA support on B cap. Take a look at my concealment. I'm starting to get close to a Cleveland, a St. Louis, and I see the hack die bombers coming in. They're AP. They're not really too big a threat to me, but I am getting closer to my cruisers. And again, a pitiful AA on this destroyer. Um, you know, I guess I should take this opportunity to discuss historically how Japanese destroyers kind of played in this game, and CVs played a lot into it. And what I mean by that is, in the early days of the game, you see, you know, basically what's going on right now, where ships will group up together in little task forces, and they're combining their AA so they can better protect themselves from the carrier. That's basically what's going on. Well, the Japanese destroyers, once you got above tier 8 and above, you started to have access to, very long-range, hard-hitting torpedoes that you didn't so much shoot at a specific ship. You would shoot at these groups of ships with the intent of you're helping your CV break up these formations so they can strike, and in the meantime, be able to um, do a reliable form of damage. Uh, my positioning in this game, I mean, again, take a look at me. I'm just a couple kilometers off my Cleveland, and that's because I freaking know that there's planes around. I don't have the ability to get out there and go for a look around. And you look at my team right now, they're splitting in all sorts of directions. This St. Louis, he's in a crossfire between the Zal and Yamato. This Cleveland, for some reason, is rushing a Bismarck, like that's ever going to be a good play. This Montana is getting hammered by the CV because he went out alone, and the CV is going to farm him. He's also got a Kronstadt right there that's going to try to burn him to death. And again, notice my positioning here. Close to the Cleveland, I know I need... You look at my team. My team's already done. I know this is a loss at this point. But I know my team needs maximum firepower. I can't just sit there and not shoot. I have to be doing as much as I can. Number one, for my score at this point, because I'm no longer playing for the win. I'm trying to actually carry the game as best I can, just for my personal statistics at this point, personal pride. Again, using islands to offer quick disengagement. Once they fix this gun bloom bug, I call it a bug because it was so much better the the way that they had it, where if you just broke line of sight, it made sense. You disengage. This crap where you've got to hide behind, cover for 20 seconds for your gun bloom to tick off, it really makes the gameplay stale. And I'm absolutely ecstatic that they're actually going to fix it. Uh, but for now, it is what it is. You just have to play around it. Um, So at this point, I'm just working this Bismarck over. I did land a torp. It didn't flood. That's telling me that his damage control was probably still up. So any sort of fires on him are going to be unrepairable and a really good source of damage. Our Cleveland, he gets overmatched by Bismarck. Why are you trying to rush him? I'm radared by the Kronstadt. I do get an unrepairable fire on the Bismarck. Um, you know, I'm just using this island, keep the Kronstadt from being able to hit me. The Bismarck shot. So, again, just farming base defenses. Um, doing what I can to get any sort of additional damage. And that last hit with the resets basically made sure this Bismarck's not actually going to be able to cap A. He's going too fast, and he's actually going to take a significant amount of damage due to that unrepairable fire. I'm at 80,000 damage right now, and it's still ticking. Right now, I'm just going to throw some Make-A-Wish torpedoes out there. I can't really push into the Kronstadt. I know my Montana's going to die. So I'm just going to kite up to B and try to make my last stand there. And I do believe this is a game where the winning team actually did not cap a single point, and the losing team capped 3 caps. So, yay, this is a, I don't know what that has to say, if that's going to be kind of the new meta. No cap kind of crap. But it is what it is. So you can see just how much that Bismarck ticked with those 2 fires that were on him. I'm basically going to push up here to B cap, and I'm weighing. Do I just want to just start shooting, try to get this over as quickly as possible, or try to keep playing it for the maximum amount of potential damage? And I just kind of decide, what, I'm going to have fun with it. Give you guys another example of more Japanese DD gunboating. And it's something that you don't do like on a consistent basis like you do with the Russian gunboats. So normally by now I would already be disengaging. Just, I got the guy's attention, a few couple shots. But I'm just kind of being greedy since the game's gonna be over. I'm actually gonna chase this Bismarck, and chasing serves 2 purposes. This is how I was expecting him to shoot at me, which is a large portion of the reason why I was changing my speed. Good hit from the Kronstadt. Good hit from the Bismarck, and that's what I mean, is that you can do this for a little bit of time. Otherwise, you gotta kind of chill out. Now here I decide, you know what, I'm the last guy standing, fuck it, I got torpedoes in the water. I've got torpedo reload. I'm gonna come back around and see if I can pick something up. So at this point, got 92,000. One of the intents about this video is, maybe creating the discussion. If CVs are actually going to be back in numbers, and we have a successful rework, do we have a return to that play style where Japanese DDs, their torps are more closely. Uh, I torped the Yamato there. He backed into my torps. I know I'm dead. Here comes the attack aircraft. And nails me right off the bat, of course. I was pretty low and pretty much an easy kill at that point. But um, do we have um, future balance changes where we look at, if we're going to have up to 3 CVs on each team in a game, that's still a lot of spotting pressure on destroyers. Radar came about because the CVs at the time had been the primary spotting sources for destroyers. Cruisers would basically rely on the carriers to spot DDs, and they would be able to shoot them. They'd park planes over the smoke, just in general harass the destroyers, and the cruisers would chip the destroyers down over the course of the game. When CVs died off, it created a need for how are these cruisers supposed to hunt these DDs into radar. Uh, but now that we're this far into the game, we have radar firmly established in the game. It's not going anywhere. Um, if we're going to restore that kind of CV pressure where now you've got 3 squads that while Hack had a lot more squads in the RTS mode, but the planes did not have the same sort of speed. Where you're constantly, every 30 seconds, you're dealing with planes that can be, harassing you, striking you multiple times. Um, do we have, a rebalancing of the Japanese torpedoes? And what that could look like is giving Kagero, it used to be the old Fubuki, restoring those old 15-kilometer torps to Kagero. Now, obviously, you couldn't still balance the old torpedo concealment on them. That was a separate balancing issue. Wargaming had basically nerfed the Japanese detection ratings on their torpedoes, not because they were overperforming, but because they were too punishing against other destroyers and cruisers. Um, so that's where that buff came in. So they're not going to be able to get back to, the old concealment values for the Japanese torpedoes. But what I could see as viable is restoring the range on the weapons, because frankly 10 kilometers on a tier 8 DD that has this little AA, I can make the guns work, but it can be incredibly punishing. Um, for something like Kagero to try to take on some of these other tier 8 DDs. And that's not even talking about, being up tiered. Um, do we have that restoration where CVs now are struggling against these massed groups of ships? They're, under this, hot patch. I played, 5 or 6 games today just trying to find a CV game. Finally got one. Um, do we have? I'm gonna go ahead and let this go forward so I'm not talking all night to you. Um, do we have the Japanese DDs move towards balancing that type of playstyle? So ships that want to cluster up like that, they can be punished by Japanese DDs, because that's how it used to be. Um, so I'm really interested in hearing people's opinion on that. Um, in this case, I was successful because this was almost perfect positioning as far as my anti-air and my general positioning all around the cap. I mean, or the map. I picked up, two full base caps. I did most of, a good chunk of the resets, which, by the way, resets, they are, always expect lots of base defenses with CV matchmaking because it's just harder to cap in general. Still did 69,000 spotting damage. Um, Ended the match with 101,000, 4 torpedo hits. You can kind of see some of the effects with the guns, an extra 11,000 in fire damage. The floodings, most of that is on the Montana. Um, did get the Haragumo, just, you know, doing the old drive-by, give them both barrels with torpedo reload. Uh, it works. It's kind of aggressive, but you need to be mindful of having the room, uh, and kind of a safe area where you can get that sort of aggressive positioning. Um, but really, the intent of this video, I had some people talking about how they were struggling in Kagero and Yaguma with this, and I wanted to get this video out as quickly as possible to you guys. And I think one of the questions that needs to be asked is, as part of the CV balancing, do we also rebalance Japanese torpedoes? And I think that there's room for that, um, with just extending the range on the weapons. So again, just interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Um, Leave your comments below, and I will talk to you later. Hope you guys are having a good night.